Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's Record Review, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor outside on his porch with his dogs. So this is going to be a very quick episode today. I did an episode yesterday about a rap artist. It's doing terribly. Nobody cares what I think about E40. And I think this might be the case with this album too, but I listened to it. It's short, it's 12 minutes, and I think there's something to say. I think it's quite good. It's by an artist named Little Simz, and it's called Drop 6. It's called Drop 6, but there's only 5 tracks. That's only one of the unexpected things that you'll see on this album, and I wanted to focus on it because, I might be feeling a little bit, guilty. On my last video, I talked a lot about how I feel conflicted whenever I review pimp rappers or rappers who talk about pimping, because as a feminist, I'm very uncomfortable with that thematic. So, maybe I wanted to review a female rap artist, or at least a female artist who uses hip-hop in her artwork. To allay my guilty conscience. But it really is just that I listened to this very quick album and I liked it a lot. So it's by an artist, and she's from England. I guess she's from Islington. I saw that. Is that in London? Is that in Manchester? Is that in Leeds? I don't know where Islington is, but that's where she's from. Her music is really not that typical. It's interesting. I call it hip-hop because she raps the whole time, but it's actually quite experimental, and that's the main reason I would say you want to give it a listen. You want to give it a listen because she does such a good job of making interesting sounding rhythms, and I thought that would make the lighting better. It made it way worse. Okay, I just want to make sure you can see the dogs, because who cares about me? So her music is really, the production is quite interesting and very challenging at times. In particular, I want to focus on a line that she says in the first track. The first track, Might Bang, Might Not. She says, you ain't seen nothing like me since Lauryn Hill in the 90s. And I wanted to just take a second to talk about that and focus on this concept of Lauryn Hill. Why hasn't there been another Lauryn Hill? And will there ever be another Lauryn Hill? And what does it even mean to be a Lauryn Hill? I would say that she makes a good case for her being the next Lauryn Hill. And let me tell you why. Let me sort of define things that, for me, make Lauryn Hill Lauryn Hill. Obviously, there's the musical innovation. There's the fact that she was a hip-hop artist while also being a singer. Little Simz isn't really much of a singer. There isn't that much of a crossover with pop and R&B, but there's enough variety just on these 12 minutes of music to make you really feel that she's doing something interesting. She's not just following the trends, which is part of what made Lauryn Hill so revolutionary. She has what I would call a very hard positivity. So it's one thing to be a positive rapper, but it's another thing to be a positive rapper with an edge. And she has that edge, and I think that's part of what makes her like Lauryn Hill. She has a very accented voice, she's from England. I think her parents are from maybe Nigeria, I think I read. I'm not sure exactly where. I think that's right. So she has a very strong British accent, and she's a very proud accent. I suppose she might have an Islington accent. I don't know anything about Islington. And really, when we talk about the concept of Lauryn Hill and feminism, I think it's interesting because the feminism of Lauryn Hill, and that's what I would see in Little Simz as well, comes through their strength. It's not so much that they address themes that directly apply to women, but it's more being insanely strong in such a male-dominated field and artwork. And for the most part, I would say it's the charisma that made Lauryn Hill who she is. She was just the kind of person who both sort of intimidated you, but also brought you in and you wanted to know her and be her friend, and Little Simz is able to do that. So, that's my judgment. Is she the next Lauryn Hill? Well, probably not. Lauryn Hill changed the world completely, but I think she at least deserves to say that she is. She is at least in the Lauryn Hill category. And there's not many rappers in that category. I'll go quickly through the songs. The first track, Might Bang, Might Not, is very cool. It's got a very UK beat. It's almost like a house track or a techno track. But then the chorus is just her voice with a siren, and it gets you kind of pumped up. This is for me right now. Feel the bass now, and you sort of get pumped up and psyched, and I like that in a hip hop song. The next track, One Life Might Live, I'm going to play you a little bit of that now. It's really nice because it's a bass-led song, and this is what I'm talking about with her creativity. It's a song where it's just a very interesting, rhythmically interesting bass line that follows her voice. Very rhythmic, but her voice is like a little bit weakened. Like it sounds like maybe, I don't know, she had too many cigarettes or something. Like her voice is a little bit raspy. And then in the back, and the reason I'm recording this outside, beyond having Toby right there, is that there's all this insect noise going on in the back. So it creates this nice atmosphere. And then, after a little bit of time, where it's just the voice and the bass, bam, this drum beat comes in. And it's this awesome, like kind of junky, sloppy drum beat that just fits perfectly. This is a great, great track. I'm gonna ask you a question too. Is this a good rhyme or a bad rhyme? Figured out, I'm just better giving love to self. No one love you like I love you, note to self. So she rhymes a lot the same word with the same word, which is usually a weak part. But I think what pulls it through in this case is really her flow. She has a great flow, it's part of her charisma, and she's able to pull off that line. So I'm just gonna play you this section of the song where she says those words and then where it leads into the drum line coming in. It's awesome. Here we go.
Just giving love to self. No one love you like I love you, baby, not to self. Don't be foolish, I'm the one that do this, know yourself. Got a deeper understanding than me, know yourself. Don't know names, but I might know familiar face. Say you're born to do this, but you ain't got what it takes. Damn sure in it, everything vivid. I got one life and I might just live it. I got one life and I might just live it. I got one life and I might just live it. I got one life and I might just live it.
Great. Awesome, awesome track. If you like that, listen to the rest. I got one life, so I might as well live it. The next track, Damn Right, has kind of like a strong flute loop to it. She's kind of speaking with herself. It's a little bit spiritual. It's a little bit boring. The first two tracks are really the best on this album. The next track, You Should Call Mum, is not a song about calling your mother, as far as I can tell. It's a little bit jazzy. Reminds me of sort of like, 90s jazz rap. And she talks about, she has a pretty good lyric in there. This feels like the zeitgeist in this 2020. No one has hindsight. If you see death as the next chapter, you can just die twice. Or can you die twice? Nice, kind of interesting. Again, there's a real spiritual, I should add that to my little category of what makes something Lauryn Hill adjacent, is a sort of vague spirituality, or at least a very public spiritual quest. Where's My Lighter is the final track. It's kind of a downbeat song with this strange female voice in the background. Is it her singing? I don't know. But she's just singing over and over again, I don't play, I don't skirt, which is funny. Kind of, again, very experimental. And she has a sort of humility to her too, which is a little bit like Lauryn Hill, where you kind of like play with both humility and braggadocio at the same time, where she says, I'm not sorry that I won, but I'm sorry that you lost. Okay, that's as long as I can record outside before I become a redneck for real. So there's my quick review of Little Simz Drop 6. Give it a chance, 12 minutes. No one's gonna watch this video, but that's okay, because I'm doing this to learn about new music. Okay, well, for Bo and Toby, there's the camera.